acknowledge this meeting is being recorded. So I want to welcome everyone. Good morning. This is Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Today is Tuesday, September 13, 2022, and we will call this community update meeting to order at 8:01 a.m. So before we get started, as always, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called upon to speak. Again, pressing *6. It is very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. So I want to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners community update. As we always do, let's do a commissioner's roll call. Commissioner Scar.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. And Commissioner Bell.
Good morning.
Good morning. So let's start off with Adventist Health Tillamook. Eric Swanson from Adventist, are you with us?
I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
This morning we have an inpatient census of 11 plus one brand new baby. No COVID patients, no patients boarding in the emergency department. 5 surgery cases scheduled today. All are elective or non-urgent. Ambulance did 8 911 transports yesterday. No transfers. 1 transport home. Number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 across Oregon is 269, 13 fewer than yesterday. There are 31 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds, which is 3 less than yesterday. 8 patients are on ventilators. And 2.8% of all emergency department visits across Oregon were for COVID-like illness. There were a total of 4,286 emergency department visits in Oregon yesterday. 27 available adult ICU beds out of 346 total. That's 8% availability. And 97 available adult non-ICU beds out of 1,914, or 5% availability. Dr. Peter Graven at OHSU gave his September 2nd COVID forecast, and he reports that as of September 1, 263 people were in Oregon hospitals. That's a 44% drop from the peak of 464 on July 17. 3 children were in Oregon hospitals. That's 19 fewer than the peak of 22 on June 20th. And let's see, visits to more Oregon emergency departments fell. And like I just reported to you, that it's 2.8% today. The peak was 6.9% on July 9th. The forecast is largely unchanged from his last report. Current wave is expected to fall through September with 129 people in hospitals on the 21st. So by next week, he's reporting that he's projecting that we'll be down to 129 admissions. And then he's also reporting that we'll start climbing again in October. And the forecast is not based on a new variant, but only generally waning immunity against existing strains. It does not take into account any new vaccine or booster, and he'll adjust the model as more details emerge. He also includes that South America, just like Australia, has seen a strong flu season, highlighting the need for flu and COVID vaccines heading into the fall. And then he reports that the CDC will be providing a fall forecast by the end of the month. So unless you have questions, that's all I've got for you today.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that very much. Do we have any questions for Eric Swanson, Adventist Health? Eric, as always, I think I may have one.
Sure.
I don't think it's a question. I think it's a comment. When you report number of emergency room beds available and just regular hospital rooms bed available in our district, District 1,
Yep.
The numbers seem low, 5%, 8%, and yet I think we have to remember that we do have for our population, we do have really few hospital beds available. And would you concur with that?
Yes. In fact, Oregon per capita has the lowest number of hospital beds of any state in the nation. And at one point that was thought to be good, but when we don't have the ability to surge and increase, that's a problem. And the real problem right now is I was at a conference the end of last week and through the weekend for Adventist Health. We met with our partners from Portland Adventist Medical Center and OHSU. And the real problem in the metro area is getting patients out of the hospital who don't need to be in the hospital, that they have nowhere to go because they're the limited number of skilled nursing facility beds. That's the real dilemma right now. And when we see more and more sick people from COVID or the flu or whatever the next thing is, it's really hard to admit them because there's this that we're clogged up trying to get the patients out of the hospital who really don't need to be there anymore, and it's super difficult. And I heard that that resonated with me on Thursday afternoon, Friday morning when we were meeting and talking about those dilemmas.
Interesting. I do have one other question, and I'm hoping you might be able to answer this. There's a lot of confusion out there right now as to boosters, the availability of boosters. Should we be getting a booster now? Are there new drugs coming out that we should wait for a booster? And do you have any thoughts on that?
So I know that we have I had a friend of mine contact me last week asking if he could get the newest booster, and I apologize, I don't remember which one it is. It all becomes
it's a blur. I know.
It's a blur. Yeah, thank you. But we have it available at our our OCMed clinic over at 983rd Street. Whether to your question of whether there are new boosters coming on the market in the near future, I have no idea. I think that we should see if the health department has can offer us any guidance there. I could reach out to Dr. Bowman or Kyle Connaughton, our pharmacist, to see if there's something new coming down that is coming, but I have no clue about that.
I appreciate that. And again, I think that's true all around, although we will ask our own health department what they might know. But yeah, it's interesting. As far as I know right now, there is no clear guidance as to what we should be doing as far as boosters go right now.
Yeah, and I'm not positive what that guidance is. So,
Eric, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Absolutely.
And as
Eric,
we all...
Excuse me, Commissioner, if I could, Dave Gomberg, I have a question for Eric.
Yes, please.
Eric, sure. Eric, often when I'm engaged in conversations about our crime statistics here at the coast, and they appear to be relatively high, I remind people that the crime statistics are based on incidents per capita, and that our actual population with all of our visitors is much different than our annual per population. I'm wondering how that same scenario would factor into your regular reports about the number of emergency room visits. I certainly understand that when we have COVID cases, that they are reported from the county of residence of the person experiencing those conditions, even if they maybe happen to be visiting here. But I don't know if that applies to flu cases, and I don't know how that may reflect, again, on the number of emergency room visits that you report per capita, comparing us to other areas.
So the number that I'm reporting on emergency department visits is a statewide number, and it comes off the OHA's daily report of how many people visited emergency rooms across Oregon. Now, whether there's no information in the data to suggest that if these are even all Oregon residents, they're just how many visits were to emergency departments within the state and how many of them were for a COVID-19-like illness. So I'm not sure if that's helpful to you, but just anecdotally, Tillamook County, we see here at Adventist Health Tillamook, our ambulance call volume increases, our emergency departments volume increases. During the summer months, the more visitors we have, the more opportunity we have to serve them in an emergency way. I don't know if I've been helpful explaining that, but that's kind of that's what I know about that emergency department visit number.
No, I appreciate that very much, and it gives us a little better sense of the larger situation. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you to you both. And now it is time for the Coastal Caucus. I do see and hear Representative Gomberg. I don't see Representative Weber, although she may be on the phone. And I don't know if we have Senator Armitage and or Senator Anderson. But at this point, I will turn it over to the Coastal Caucus. Good morning.
Well, good morning again, Commissioners. Good morning, Tillamook County. Representative Weber did text me last night to say she had a conflict this morning, so she won't be able to join us, but I know she is here regularly. Commissioners, over the weekend we observed the anniversary of 9/11, and I think it's always important to mention that lest we risk forgetting that terrible day in our nation's history, even though it's been nearly a generation since that terrible morning. But also over the weekend, we observed another anniversary, and that is the 2 years since wildfires raged across Oregon and certainly through northern Lincoln County, within sight of the residents in Tillamook County, some of whom were also evacuated that day. And with 2 years behind us, I thought it worthwhile to mention some of the changes that the state of Oregon has applied to those kinds of threats and challenges. And we've introduced bills to help people in recovery. We have certainly passed laws that reduce taxes on people that have lost their homes and are rebuilding, although it's hard to imagine that under the old statutes you could actually be charged a tax on a house that had burned down. We have changed that. We've also taken steps to reimburse local governments for the loss of those property tax revenues or other tax receipts. We've taken steps to make it easier to rebuild and hold insurance companies a little bit more accountable, since under the old statute you might have had to take action within 2 years, but when many residences in a particular area are affected and many people are trying to rebuild, when people are trying to rebuild, it becomes more difficult to get contractors lined up within that 2-year period. And I will tell you here in northern Lincoln County, where the fire came through, that still fewer than half of the homes that were lost are back in place, or people residing back on their own properties. We have taken steps to provide more resources to local fire departments, and I talked about this recently, where every single fire department across the state received a funding allocation that they could use as they saw best, whether that's hiring new staff or buying new equipment or taking other steps to improve their fire response resources at the height of the fire season. And I should also add that we have taken steps more broadly to try and reduce the risk of wildfires across Oregon. That may sound like a dubious effort at this time of year when we have large fires that are threatening us, but it's nothing like we saw 2 years ago, and I think that proactive steps have made a difference. Finally, I wanted to mention on the wildfire front, one of the steps that I think made a difference. I said this is our 2-year anniversary, and nature played a cruel trick on us this past weekend, and that is duplicating the conditions that we saw when we had the fires 2 years ago. High winds, high temperatures, low humidity, and that meant that we had extreme risk red flag warnings in a number of different areas, including out here at the coast. But one major difference we saw from 2 years ago is that in many cases we saw the power utilities doing planned shutdowns. And while not all of our fires are caused by issues in our utility infrastructure, certainly some of them can be. And by turning off our power in a planned way, we reduce those risks. Having your power turned off is an inconvenience. There's no question at all about that. But the people that I've talked to up here felt that it was a much lesser inconvenience than the risk of wildfires being initiated by down power lines or exploding terminals in transformers, I should say, when we have these extreme conditions. And under new rules from the state, when the utilities do these planned shutdowns, they take steps to reach out and let people know that's going to happen. Usually, the guidelines are to try and provide 48 hours notice so that you can prepare for a power shutdown, which is a lot different than just simply having the lights go out and the refrigerators start getting warm with no notice whatsoever. Commissioners, it's my sense that that planned power shutdowns in the face of a wildfire threat may become the norm in the future, and I say that to people so that they can take steps if they are listening to make sure that they are on the call list for their local utilities, that the utilities have their most recent contact information, and very important that that people are signed up with the county to make sure that that you get texts or phone calls or emails from the county as appropriate when there are conditions, whether it be wildfires or other potential emergencies. So that's just a few thoughts about the fire season and the fire anniversary. I will tell all of you that we've got legislative days coming up. Those are those quarterly periods where legislative committees meet, hold public hearings in preparation for the upcoming legislative sessions. If you're interested in those kind of things, you could go to the Oregon Legislative Information Service, find out what committees are meeting, take a look at their agenda. If there's an opportunity for you to make comments, and the hearings are open to the for public presentations, you can sign up to give testimony. Often during legislative days, those committees are by invitation only on very specific topics and have very fast-moving agendas. But Leg Days is coming up. And then finally, on a lighter note, let me mention for all of you that there is an election coming up that you may not have heard about, and it is the election for Oregon's Kid Governor. And what we do is we invite fifth graders across the state to prepare a video with an outline of their gubernatorial agenda should they be elected as the Kid Governor for Oregon. And this is all done through the Secretary of State's office. A panel will then review all of those submissions. They'll select the top 7, and they'll present those 7 videos to the students of Oregon, and they can watch the videos. They can have conversations in the classroom about the different proposals being made, and then they get a chance to vote for a fifth grader to serve as the Kid Governor of Oregon, who becomes a kind of a spokesperson and has an opportunity actually in the real policy environment to advance their agenda. So I think it's an interesting program that encourages our young people to be better informed, better engaged, better participants in the public policy process. And I hope that the teachers listening out there and the parents listening out there and the students that may be listening may take advantage of the opportunity to submit a video and campaign to become Oregon's next Kid Governor. And this is all timed to coincide with the public elections that will be taking place, of course, in early November, with ballots being mailed out in mid to late October. So that's what I've got for you this morning. I'm sorry Representative Weber could not be with us, but I'm sure she'll be back next Tuesday morning, and I'll pause to see if any of our senators are with us or if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Representative Gumberg. Do we have any of our state senators? So, Representative Gumberg, I do want to thank you for your comments. The red flag warning last weekend was kind of scary. Got home Friday afternoon, and it was 87 degrees in Pacific City, where the day before, Thursday, I think the high temperature got up to like 64. So quite a swing in temperature. The east wind was blowing. It was smoky. You're absolutely correct. Higher temperatures, low humidity. It was a dangerous time. And I think we kind of dodged a bullet there, even though in saying that, we do still have some major fires still occurring in Oregon, much worse in California at this point. So we're not out of danger yet, although it was so nice. Saturday, late afternoon, evening, you could feel when the wind switched from an offshore wind, an east wind, to an onshore wind, a west wind, and things cleared out very nicely, and that evening was actually very nice, and got to open up some windows and doors in the house. But again, thank you so much for being here, Representative Gumberg, and we appreciate your comments. Do we have any other questions or comments for Representative Gumberg? Thank you for being here. Let us go to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Do we have Marlene Putman and or Ed Colson with us?
Well, good morning, Commissioner. It's Ed Colson here with the Health Department and our report.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. So in Tillamook County, our community level transmission remains high due to our continued high test positivity rate. We've had 17 positive cases and a test positivity rate of 27.9% recorded over the past 7 days, and that's from the 4th through the 10th of September. So as a way of reminder, we say continue to follow the COVID-19 safety guidance that can help reduce the spread of COVID-19. Monitor yourself for signs and symptoms, test if you have symptoms or were exposed, wear a mask in indoor public spaces, wash your hands frequently, and stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccines. So moving on with the vaccine, so if it has been at least 2 months since your last COVID-19 vaccine, then you are eligible to receive a bivalent booster of Pfizer for those 12 years old and older, and Moderna for those 18 years old and older. Our health center is still waiting for our shipment of bivalent boosters, and then once our shipment is received, twice weekly vaccine appointments will be available at our health center and walk-in vaccine clinics that'll be starting in October, and we're in the current planning process for that right now. For those who would like to get a bivalent booster, if you call 211, it's available to help locate booster clinics near you, and we're going to post these updates when we receive our shipment. If anybody else has any questions regarding who's eligible, what booster should I get, what series am I supposed to be in, more information about that is on our website. We do have a flow chart of who should take the primary series, who received the third dose, and who should be eligible for a booster dose. September is National Recovery Month. It's a national observance to raise awareness for mental health and addiction recovery. This year, to address the nation's growing crisis of substance misuse and overdose deaths, we are continuing to work with our partners to strengthen Tillamook County's opioid use response. Just a few weeks ago, Tillamook County held its first International Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st in downtown Tillamook. This event created an opportunity to have open conversations with the community, offer resources, and train and supply community members with Narcan, an easy-to-use nasal spray that can reverse an opioid overdose and save a life. We hope to continue to build on this momentum as we honor Recovery Month in September. And with that, that's our Health Department report. I'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that very much, and I appreciate the update on boosters. Have you heard anything at all about new forms of boosters maybe coming on towards the end of this year?
The last update we have is the bivalent booster, and that's the only one that we're currently waiting a shipment on, and that's the only update we have.
Thank you for that, Ed. Appreciate it very much. Any other questions for Ed Colson? Thank you, Ed, for being with us this morning. Let's go to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson. Gail, are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Ed, for the update on the bivalent booster and the flow chart. We'll have to take a look at that. Sounds very useful. Just a few announcements from us this morning. This past Saturday, we had a strategic planning session where staff and board worked on visions and aspirations for the future. And we, of course, have the vaccines available. We are planning a flu and COVID booster clinic in October at the North County Recreation District. We're not quite ready with the forms, so more to follow on that. But everything should be posted to our website later this week. And also, you please feel free to give us a call at 800-368-5182 if you have any COVID questions or would like to schedule an appointment with one of our medical providers. And finally, the New County Student Health and Wellness Center opened for full services last week. We had opened in early August for sports physicals and other medical appointments. Mental health team was also back on site last week, and staff team members from the school-based health center will be attending all of the back-to-school nights at the New County schools. And that's it for me this morning, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Gail. Any questions for Gail Nelson? Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Hanna Williams. Frank. Frank, are you with us this morning? Perhaps not. Well, let's move on to the Sheriff's Office. Do we have Sheriff Brown with us? How about Under Sheriff Kelly? No response from the Sheriff's Office. So hopefully there's nothing too exciting going on. Let's go to Emergency Management. Thorpe. Well, I hope I'm still online here. Can anyone hear me?
Commissioner Yamamoto, this is Sheriff Brown. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
I actually just signed on a little bit late. I apologize for that.
Oh, great. Please go ahead.
Okay. Usually after a big holiday weekend, I like to share stats just to keep the community up to date on what it is we're doing. And so I have some stats from Labor Day weekend that I'd like to share with everybody. And I do have comparative from last year as well, just to kind of give an idea of what things look like. So the numbers are down just a little bit. Our total calls in 2021 was 333 for the same Labor Day weekend, Friday to Monday. This year we were down to about 279. So over the 4 days, Friday through Monday of Labor Day weekend, a total of 279 calls this year, calls for service. Out of those calls, there was 3 disturbances. In 21, we had 9, so that number was down, which is good. Motor vehicle accidents or recreational accidents is down to 6 from 7 the previous year, so we had 1 less crash. We did have a few more traffic stops. We were up to 65 over the 4-day weekend, with last year being at 62. We did have an increase in our assault calls. We had 4 calls during that 4-day period. Last year we had 1. We did also have 4 arrests over the 4-day weekend. In 2021, we had 5. So some of the numbers are pretty similar or kind of running a similar average. Total calls for service, as I mentioned, are down a little bit. And don't know if I really have a reason for why that is. But as I mentioned, those were the numbers, and they did obviously keep us busy. So it's good that the motor vehicle accidents or recreational accidents were down, that we've been on a pretty solid campaign of trying to get people to slow down, be patient, and drive safe. There were no major crashes that I'm aware of. And like I said, that's what our Labor Day weekend looked like in your community. So that's about all I have for this week, and I can take any questions if need be.
Thank you, Sheriff Brown. Appreciate it very much. Any questions for the sheriff? Thank you for being with us this morning. Now, let's try emergency management again. I see Randy Thorpe online. Randy, are you with us?
You bet. I'm here, Commissioner. First of all, I just wanted to mention that this Saturday at the Tillamook Farmers Market, the Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan Committee will be having a table there to go over the plan that is being updated this year. What we're trying to do is it's a continuing effort to get public engagement into this update of this plan, and so we decided to start to attend some of the farmers markets around. We were there this last Saturday. They had a pretty good response. They were also up in Garibaldi, and they had a really good response up there, so we're hoping to continue that here this Saturday at the farmers market here. The other thing is that I've been attending the Oregon State Emergency Coordination Center statewide coordination calls concerning the wildfire and wind event that's occurred over the weekend. And just for a little quick update of what they gave us yesterday for the 12th is that currently we have 16 active fires. They're burning 304,000 acres. And right now, considering all the levels of evacuation going from be prepared, get ready, and then go, there's roughly 9,000 people that are under some kind of an evacuation order out in the state. They've only got 29 individuals that are being sheltered, 136 livestock, and 145 companion animals. This is statewide. Currently, right now, in our part of the world, that would be Clatsop, Tillamook, Yamhill, and Lincoln. We have no active fires right now burning. So right along the coast here, we're still doing fairly well. To get some additional information and to look and get more in depth on a lot of these statistics, you can go to the state's website, and that's wildfire.oregon.gov. And you can go there, and it's an excellent site to keep up to date on the wildfires throughout the state. So that's all I've got for this morning.
Randy, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Next up, of course, is the Board of Commissioners. Let's go to Commissioner Bell.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, good morning. I would just like to mention briefly that this afternoon there's an event out in front of the courthouse called the Rip City Rally. And the Portland Trailblazers, not the whole team, I imagine, but some representatives of the Portland Trailblazers will be in Tillamook, out in front of the courthouse from 4 to 6. They set up the street as a basketball court. There will be vendors and opportunities, games for kids, all kinds of fun things. I think it's been 4 years since they were here last, and so we're really looking forward to it. Of course, people won't be able to park there in the street. It'll be right where the Tillamook Farmers Market generally is, but please bring your kids and your grandkids, and come even if you don't have kids, come on down and join us for the Rip City Rally today from 4 to 6. And I think that's all I have this morning, Commissioner. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Commissioner Scar.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I've had one really exciting meeting that I want to talk about from this last week. I had the opportunity to go down to Salem and be part of a work group that was looking at how do we move housing forward in ways that the legislature can help us with. So we spent about 4 hours, a group of us that included elected officials. It included representatives from Association of Oregon Counties, the League of Oregon Cities. It included city managers, planning directors, representatives of DLCD, just all of us coming together to just map out with the housing development process, where are the pinch points? Where does it get stuck? What keeps it from happening smoothly, efficiently, and frequently? And it was just a really great opportunity to put a lot of minds and a lot of perspectives together to identify potential solutions. So the work from that group has been passed on to Representative Marsh, who is interested in putting together a legislative concept on that. So we will see what that turns into and if it makes it through the legislative process, but it was a great opportunity to have Tillamook County's voice and the rural voice in particular be a part of conversations that can lead to legislative fixes. We will be circling back in October to take another dive into additional steps that can be taken. So we looked at sort of financial pieces in this first round, and we're going to jump back into policy pieces in the next round, which includes rules from DLCD, rules from Oregon Housing Community Services, just all of the things the state is dictating to us that don't work. So great opportunity for Tillamook County to be at that table. Other than that, I'm just going to highlight a couple things happening in the community. We all know that the nonprofits in Tillamook County do amazing work and provide great opportunities for people. There are 2 auctions that are currently live online for you to participate in. One of them is the YMCA auction, and their dinner is actually this weekend on the 17th. So if you haven't checked that out yet, hit the YMCA website. Their fundraising is really crucial to their services and their services being available for our entire community. During COVID, they stepped up and provided just services that no one would have expected from them. You know, taking phone calls from people who were just home by themselves and concerned, delivering medications and food. I mean, the YMCA is an amazing partner. So definitely check out their website, their online auction, and see if there's any tickets left to attend their banquet. The other one I want to highlight this morning is the Tillamook Estuaries Partnership, and there is so much work. Commissioner Yamamoto talks about it all the time that we do for habitat restoration for our salmon runs here, and Tillamook Estuary Partnership is right in the middle of that, providing a lot of education as well as restoration work. So their auction went live, I believe, yesterday. So their online auction is live. Their banquet will be coming up on the 24th. Don't know for sure if they still have tickets left, but definitely check into that as well. Two great organizations that have great stuff on their auctions, so you can support them. With that, I will hand it back to you, Commissioner Yamamoto.
Thank you, Commissioner Scar. So as you mentioned, especially with watershed councils and things of that nature, I do have some sad news for people. Our director of Salmon Superhighway, Sarah Zwissler, she is retiring. And it's so, she's been with Salmon Superhighway in Tillamook County now for 5 years or more. She's done just a terrific job. Watershed councils and the new process like the Salmon Superhighway, which is a trial project that the federal government brought to Tillamook County. And there's a reason that they brought this to Tillamook County, because we do so well, have done so well over the past decades when it comes to habitat restoration and clean water and fish recovery. You hear me talk about this all the time. They wanted to see, and this is a pilot project, they wanted to see that if there was a new funding stream, instead of coming from the state, if there was a federal funding stream for this type of work, could it be successful? And they brought it to Tillamook County, called it Salmon Superhighway. It's kind of concentrated in South Tillamook County up through Central Tillamook County. And it has been so successful, but that's because of people like Sarah Zwissler, who was with Trout Unlimited, and she came in and did just a terrific job. So sorry to see her go. She has offered to stay on probably through October, so that when her replacement is found, she will spend some time with the replacement and work with them to try to bring forward the energy that she brought to Salmon Superhighway. I'm on the executive steering committee of Salmon Superhighway, and so again, it's just great work. Sarah, we're so sorry to see you go, but I know you're going to have bigger and better things in front of you. So thank you so much for what you've done for Tillamook County. The other thing I want to mention is South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps. You know, over the years, the Emergency Volunteer Corps of Nehalem Bay up in North County for over 20 years has done just an outstanding job of preparing communities in North County for all sorts of emergencies. And they're willing to share. They're telling everyone there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We've been doing this for so many years. So in South Tillamook County, Marge Joseph has taken on that responsibility, done just a terrific job. Again, I'm on the board there, South Tillamook County Emergency Volunteer Corps. Marge is unfortunately also going to be resigning. She is moving across the country to be with kids, closer to her family, and you certainly have to understand that. We are very fortunate that David Sears from Terra Del Mar has stepped up and is going to take her position there. So we have an active emergency volunteer corps in South Tillamook County, and we're looking forward to it very much. We do have coming up an emergency volunteer corps emergency preparation fair. That is Saturday, September 24th. It's going to be at the headquarters of Nestucca Fire in Hebo, and I believe that is from 10 to 2. So please, if you have the time, please stop by. There's going to be lots of free goodies, lots of information. You can purchase emergency radios. You can purchase go bags, things of that nature. And again, you're going to learn a lot to make sure that if and when, not if, when the big one hits, you and your family are prepared. And that's what this is all about. It's about preparedness. So I think that's about all I have this morning. So let's go to the cities. City of Manzanita, Mike Scott. Mike, are you with us?
Yes, good morning. I am here.
Good
just
morning.
To follow up on what you just said, September is emergency preparedness month, so there's a lot going on in that area. The last week at our city council meeting, we appointed Jenna Edgington to the city council to fill the remainder of Hans Tonga's term, Hans, who resigned on August 1st. And we're about to begin our Dorcas Lane reconstruction project, which is one of the biggest road projects we've done here in Manzanita. We're going to replace the water mains, install new storm drainage lines, and reconstruct the road base and surface. And the Manzanita Lost project, which the Planning Commission and subsequently the City Council denied their application. They have appealed their decision to LUBA, so we're standing by to wait to see what the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals decides on that project. I want to mention another online charity auction that's going on this week with the Muddick Foundation. They have an online auction, and their annual golf tournament is this Saturday at Manzanita Links, followed by a charity auction at dinner at NCRD. This group does so much in North County with programs to support our children and our schools. So I hope everybody supports that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Appreciate you being here. How about the city of Nehalem? Do we have Melissa Thompson-Kiefer with us or anyone else from the city of Nehalem? How about the city of Wheeler? Do we have Mayor Doug Honeycutt or City Manager Mary Johnson or any other city councilors? How about Rockaway Beach? Mayor Sue Wilson? Anyone from Rockaway? City of Garibaldi, Mayor Tim Hall. Mayor, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Garibaldi has nothing to report this week.
Thank you for being with us. Appreciate it very much. Let's move on to Bay City. Mayor David McCall. Mayor, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, I am. I'd just like to good morning. I would like to remind everybody that tonight, beginning at 6 o'clock, we have our regular monthly city council meeting. This month we have a presentation from TJ Pirelli from the housing coordinator, where we'll talk about some potential tax exemptions and other items on our agenda. You can find the agenda and the whole packet on our website. Once again, meeting begins 6 o'clock at the community hall. Everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McCall. Appreciate you being here. City of Tillamook, City Manager Nathan George. Nathan, are you there?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Yes, I do have several things. Last week we had our council meeting on Tuesday, September 9th, so I want to go over that since we haven't had an opportunity. First of all, our Public Works Director, Tim Latta, who's been director for over 10 years, is retiring at the end of this week, and we had a very nice proclamation for him. Council and I gave him a lot of just thank you, and he's done a really great job, worked really hard, and done a lot for our community. Some of the things he's done was he oversaw a project to move our Public Works garage into a new location where it's at. He also did a huge benefit to the city by training. When he became Public Works Director, he started training employees and bringing in employees that could do work in-house, do a lot more work in-house, which saved a lot of taxpayer money, as we didn't have to have so much contracted out. We also had a Constitution Week proclamation that the council approved. This is by a representative of the Daughters of the Revolutionary War. And that Constitution Week display was in the library last year, and this year it'll be in City Hall for the month of September. It isn't quite up yet, but it'll be up soon, and anyone's welcome to come by and see that. Also, the council approved a request for an engineer for the wastewater master plan, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the Public Works Department portion. Council wants to meet regarding their council priorities, and they'll be meeting on the 17th of October on Monday at 7 o'clock. And that's in October. It's what would be normally the second meeting of October for the council. We also talked about the council will have a work session at the next meeting, which will be on Monday, September 19th, and they'll be doing a work session to follow up on the fair booth, how that went and future planning. This is the first year the city's had a fair booth in a very long time. And also, the city council is looking at how they can improve our streets. And so one of the things that they have done is they have voted to put a fuel tax increase on the ballots for November, and they will be talking about that at the work session too. So, in the Tillamook Police Department, our school resource officer Olson had a great start to the school year, and we were very excited to have him in this role. And I actually got to follow up with Officer Olson the very day, at the end of the day after he had started. He was very excited. One of the reasons he wants to be as a school resource officer is he really feels like helping kids be able to move forward in life and make good choices begins in their earlier years, and that's why one of his passions for doing that, and we're really happy to have him there. Officer Neubauer started the 16-week basic police academy on Monday the 12th of September. Officer Loftman responded to a hit and crash run that destroyed a fire hydrant over by Goodspeed Park, and due to Officer Loftman's quick response and investigative skills, he located, interviewed, and arrested, cited, and released the suspect who claimed they didn't know they hit a fire hydrant. The Public Works Department, as I believe it was Commissioner Bella talked about, the Trailblazer Fair is being held today from 4 to 6 p.m. on 2nd Street between the highway and Laurel Avenue in front of the County Pioneer Museum and the courthouse. Please be mindful of no parking signs and barricades. And just a little information for those of you who don't know, all special events on city property or in city right-of-way must go through the city's planning department, which is reviewed and supported by all the city departments, including myself. Depending on the event, it must be coordinated with others. In this case, it's been coordinated with the county, Tillamook County, and the Tillamook Transportation District. And that is from 4 to 6, and the mayor will hopefully be there to do a ribbon cutting. So we're really excited, and hopefully other representatives from our county and our city. Crews are reader meeting today. As I talked about the hit and run from the TDP, the Tillamook Police Department reported from the Public Works Department. It caused extensive damage and flooding, and they will have the situation under control. We have the situation under control, and the Public Works Department will be assessing damage to get it repaired this week. The Hurleman Hill finished water line is now tied in. This is the second of 2 surface water intakes that the city owns. This one is the Fawcett Creek. The other one's Killam Creek. The next step in this process is flushing the lines and getting ready to put them back online. This is a monumental milestone as crews have been working on this for over 8 years. So for over 8 years, we've only had 1 creek that's been hooked up to our water system, and now we'll have 2, in addition to our wells as backup. This is really, really good for our city and for our community. The wastewater master plan has been accepted, which will help us move forward by identifying all the areas that need addressed in the city, especially east side of the city. This is what I was talking about with the council update. From this plan, the city will begin to develop a capital improvement plan, secure funding, and start fixing the wastewater infrastructure. The role of the city is to provide certain services for the public, one of which is infrastructure for existing buildings and for future buildings. And again, we thank the county for paying a significant portion of that, which is $200,000 from the grant that we received. The Public Works Director, Tim Dye, is retiring, as I had said earlier, after 23 years of service, and he will be greatly missed. That's coming from the Public Works Department. I want them to also hear that. Also, please contact Public Works at tillamookor.gov for any questions or concerns regarding potholes, street repairs, or anything of a non-emergency nature. So Public Works at tillamookor.gov. And again, the Public Works Department is still experiencing staffing shortages, and we have several open positions. Actually, we have 3. If you're interested in applying, please visit City Hall or our website for an application. And finally, just a reminder, you may sign up for the Tillamook City Endorsed Partnership with Service Line of Warranties of America program to provide warranties for less than $10 a month for service to property owners for sewer lateral lines, water lateral lines, and indoor plumbing. Cities received very positive feedback for residents using this program. You can also contact the city with any questions. I even had a person at church come up and ask about it. So it's a very good program. We highly encourage our residents to do it, as we are going to be digging in, literally, and getting service lines repaired. It's really important that people are looking at their own service lines. So that is all I have, Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Nathan, as always, thank you so much for being here. It's quite evident that the city of Tillamook is a busy place. There's a lot going on every week with the city of Tillamook. Appreciate you being here very much.
You're welcome.
Last but certainly not least, let's go to South County. Doug Olson. Doug, are you with us? I think maybe Doug is headed to Tillamook. We have a Tillamook Lightwave meeting this morning starting at 9:30, which of course I need to attend. So I'm sure he is on his way to that and out of range. So with that, I want to thank everyone for attending this morning. And I want special thanks to KTIL for broadcasting this community update live every Tuesday morning. So time being 8:50 a.m., we will adjourn this community update. Thank you, everyone.